Hi there, I'm Sonal Mehrotra Kapoor. This is 5 Live. The Singapore High Commission in the national capital has issued an advisory now to its citizens on the air pollution. Singers like Kavita Seth, Palash Sen have cancelled concerts, saying that as artists, they don't want to be singing and exerting themselves in this present AQI. There are boos and anger against the Delhi Chief Minister. Slogans of AQI, AQI, and those booing the Delhi Chief Minister were heard at the very messy sort of interaction that was held here in the national capital. In middle of all of this has come now on what was called an apology by the Environment Minister, Mr. Sirsa. Are we to take that seriously? Is there more to it than meets the eye? What exactly is the solution for pollution and what's the plan? All this and more on the program today. First up, the headlines. 10 days after the Goa fire, Luthras have finally been arrested. Luthra brothers taken into custody by Goa police at the Delhi airport. Luthra is likely to be produced before the Mapusa Magistrate Court on December 17th for questioning. Lok Sabha witnesses the ruckus over the draft bill to replace Manrega with the Viksit Bharat Guarantee for Rozgar and Ajivika Mission Grameen. It's a mouthful, yes. Opposition accuses BJP of dismantling a flagship welfare scheme associated with Mahatma Gandhi. BJP hits back, saying the bill is meant for the welfare of the people. Opposition protest marches against the bill. Big relief for the Gandhis. Delhi court refused to take cognizance of the National Herald money laundering case against Congress leader Rahul Gandhi and Sonia Gandhi. Rouse Avenue Court says that the complaint filed by the ED was under non-maintenance. After internal dissent in the Congress, now ally NCP-SP distances itself from the vote Chori Rao. NCP, which is of Sharad Pawar, now MP Supriya Sule backs election process, expressed confidence in EVMs, and BJP shares a video of Sule, taunts Rahul Gandhi as well, and the Congress calls it an embarrassment for the opposition. The Election Commission has dropped a political bombshell in poll-bound West Bengal. Over 58 lakh voter names have been identified for deletion as the Election Commission of India released the draft electoral rolls following the controversial Special Investigation Division. Now, the TMC has accused BJP and EC for manipulating the voter list right ahead of the elections. Jordan PM Zafar Hassan has welcomed Prime Minister Modi. Jordan's crown prince also personally drove the Prime Minister to the Jordan Museum in Amman. The Prime Minister says the doors are open for Jordanian businesses to here come to India. Thakre brothers come together for Mumbai municipal polls. The Maha Agadi, meanwhile, appears to be splitting up, with the Congress maintaining a distance from its alliance partners. And finally, the 2025 International Film Festival of Kerala in Trivandrum faced disruptions after Union Information and Broadcasting Minister denied permission to screen 19 films. The left protests against Centre's move. Cutting across to some updates coming in. This is from Hyderabad Police, which has issued a statement on the Bondi beach shooting, and this is an important one. The police has said that the suspect, Sajid Akram, is from India. The shooter there, Akram's kin, had no idea about his radicalization. Cops are also saying that there is no Indian link to Akram's radicalization so far, and no local link or influence has been suspected. In fact, his association from India was long cut off, is what the cops have come out to clarify. They're also saying that family had limited contact with the suspects there. My colleague Abdul Bashir joins us for the very latest on this. Abdul, take us through what else do we know about this matter. We earlier thought that it was, the father-son duo were of a different nationality. What exactly is their India connection?
Well, during investigation, the agencies have found out that Sajid Akram was born here in Hyderabad. He's completed his BCom, that is graduation in Hyderabad. After that, he's left to Australia, where he has married a European national, European origin girl there. And after the marriage, they had a son, a 24-year-old son, who was also involved in the attack. Now, here what the family have to say is that after Sajid had left the country here, he's travelled only 6 times reportedly, just for an occasion related to property dispute. He did not even get back during his father's demise, and the family here says that there is no any kind of radicalization link or any information about his radicalization at that moment, because it is not linked to Telangana. Well, the Telangana police has said that before 1998 is the time when Sajid Akram had left the country. He had no criminal record here in Telangana, and whatever cooperation the central agencies or any other agencies are required, we are ready to cooperate, is what the Telangana police have to say.
All right, Abdul Bashir, thanks so much for joining us for the very latest on that. All right, on to our top story. Air quality across the national capital continues to deteriorate. There is no good news coming from that. But the development at this hour is that Delhi's Environment Minister Majinder Singh Sirsa has apologized to Delhi Walas, stating that the government is working hard to fix the issue. Now, his remarks come against the backdrop of the Delhi Chief Minister Rekha Gupta being booed at the Messi event at the Arun Jaitley Stadium in the national capital last evening. Take a look at what he first said, then we'll deep dive into the statement.
मैं दिल्ली के लोगों से माफी मांगता हूं, इतना कहना चाहता हूं 9-10 महीनों में कोई सरकार आपको पूरा का पूरा पोल्यूशन को साफ कर सके, ऐसा असंभव है। लेकिन मैं दिल्ली वासियों आपको बताना चाहता हूं, आम आदमी पार्टी की सरकार जो बेईमानी करके चल कर गई है, हमने उससे बेहतर करके हर दिन का AQI कम करा है। मैं राहुल और प्रियंका जी से पूछना चाहता हूं, कहां थे आपके मास्क पिछले साल? पिछले साल इससे ज्यादा पोल्यूशन था, पिछले साल इससे ज्यादा गंदे दिन थे। पिछले साल आज के दिन भी अगर हम बात कर रहे हैं तो 380 AQI था, लेकिन ना राहुल गांधी आपको दिखे ना प्रियंका गांधी दिखे, क्योंकि ये आम आदमी पार्टी के साथ लोग मिले हुए लोग थे, और आज इनको ये सब बातें याद आई हैं।
So, what exactly was that? An apology delivered in the same breath as, again, blaming everybody else. The opposition Congress there, which hasn't been in power in Delhi for over a decade, or the Aam Aadmi Party, which also did a lot of blame game, if you'll remember, but at the very least did not introduce firecrackers into the mix. Because responsibility cannot be outsourced so easily, and here's what makes the turnaround even more striking. Just about a month ago, the Environment Minister was on this very program with me, and he was singing a completely different tune. No apologies then, no blame shifting either, no recognizing the problem either. Let's take a look at what he had said back then. You are saying that there are sprinklers out, you are right. You are saying construction sites have these sprinkler guns, you are right, but they are not working. We've just done a ground report. These sort of sprinklers at construction sites are sitting dumb. The sprinkler sites are only hovering around the AQI meter. They are not there for general citizens. It's been documented. It's out in the open for people to see.
See, what I'm not able to understand what you said. I'm not getting your voice. But what I'm able to understand is that you are saying कि water sprinklers आपने चेक किए, वो कहीं काम नहीं कर रहे थे किसी कंस्ट्रक्शन साइट पे। हो सकता है हमारी लगातार मॉनिटरिंग, और कोई फिर भी लोग इसमें शरारतें करते होंगे, बंद भी कर देते होंगे। ये सारे काम चलेंगे। जब भी कोई आदमी प्राइवेट चीज़ें चलती हैं, उनमें लोग शरारतें करते हैं, रुकते भी। हमारा काम इन्फोर्स करना है, स्ट्रिक्टली इन्फोर्स करना है, उनका काम उससे बचना है। लेकिन हमारे प्रयत्न और यत्न कामयाबी की तरफ हैं। हम ये जानते हैं कि दिल्ली के अंदर कम से कम कंस्ट्रक्शन साइट पे लगने तो शुरू हो गए, कहीं कम चले होंगे, कहीं ज़्यादा चले होंगे। तो ऐसा है, आंकड़ों को अगर आप जानने की कोशिश करें तो दिल्ली में पिछले साल के मुकाबले हर दिन AQI बेहतर है। बेहतर ऐसा नहीं है कि साफ हवा हो गई है, बेहतर ऐसा है कि कम पोल्यूटेड है, बशर्ते पिछले 10 सालों के। मैं एक साल की बात नहीं कर रहा। 2024, 23, 22, 23 मैं हर रोज का ट्वीट करता हूँ।
On what basis are you saying that I went and did a reality check? जी, मैंने जाकर एक reality check करा है दिल्ली में, जब हमने देखा कि जब आप water sprinkler लगाते हैं किसी मीटर के बगल में, तो 150 से 200 पॉइंट्स तक नीचे दिखा रहा है वो। तो ये पहली बार हो रहा है पिछले 5 सालों में that we have had to question the authenticity of numbers.
आप कैसे
We have
बच्चों
had to
वाली बात कर
question
रहे
the
हैं कि ऐसा
authenticity.
पानी से कभी वाटर, आपको किसी ने गलत कहा है, आप अपने मीटर लेके चले जाएंगे तो मैं उसमें कुछ कर नहीं चाहता। अगर आपका एजेंडा कुछ डिफरेंट होगा कुछ पेश करने का तो मैं उसमें कुछ नहीं कर सकता। ऐसा है, सुप्रीम कोर्ट की मॉनिटर्ड है, सीपीसीबी रोज ये डेटा जो ये सीक्यूएम रिलीज करता है, ऐसा नहीं है जैसे आप अपना मन बैठ के टीवी पे जो भी बोलना चाहेंगे बोलते जाएंगे और वो सच माना जाएगा। सुप्रीम कोर्ट की मॉनिटरिंग होती है इसकी और सीक्यूएम उसका डेटा रिलीज करता है। आप ये कैसे कह देंगे कि पानी फेंकने से AQI कम हो जाता है? कभी कैसी बात करते हैं? पानी का मकसद डस्ट मिटिगेशन है, ना कि AQI कम करना है, और डस्ट मिटिगेशन होगी तो AQI कम होगा। देखिए आपका एजेंडा कुछ होगा, मैं उस एजेंडे में कुछ नहीं कर पाऊंगा, वो आपका एजेंडा आप जैसे मर्जी पेश करिए, पर मैं आपको आंकड़े बता सकता हूं और आंकड़े बोल रहे हैं। आज आसमान साफ में आंकड़े बोल रहे हैं। आप पिछले दिनों में आसमान साफ नहीं देख पाते थे, दीपावली मनाई गई। आप जानते हैं 10 साल और 15 साल की सारी गाड़ियां दिल्ली में चल रही हैं, क्या ये कम बड़ी रिलीफ है दिल्ली के लोगों के लिए? इसके बावजूद AQI कम है, लेकिन आपका कुछ एजेंडा अलग होगा, मैं उस पे नहीं बहस आपसे कर सकता। मैं आपको ऑथेंटिक एजेंडा दे सकता हूं,
सिरसा जी, asking a question does not mean
तो आपकी मर्जी है।
asking
मैं
a
आपको बता,
question.
आप सुनिए, आप सुनना नहीं चाहेंगे
मैं
तो
बहुत
अलग बात
प्यार
है।
से,
अगर
मैं
आप
तो
सिर्फ
सुन ही
अपने
रही हूँ
सवाल
तब से
रखें,
आपकी
सुनिए
बात।
भी,
मैं बस
सुनिए।
कहना चाह रही हूँ,
आप मेरी
मैं
बिल्कुल
बस
सुनिए,
आपसे
मैं आपको
कहना
आंकड़ा
चाह
देना
रही
चाहता
हूँ
हूँ।
कि asking a question is not agenda. That is my dharma as a journalist, to ask you a question. I'm just
Not
asking
at
you a
all.
question. So you heard that. Earlier he was not even recognizing or defiant about it. Today there is a bit of an apology, perhaps triggered by what happened with the Chief Minister yesterday when we saw the anger of Delhiites really pouring out on the field over there. But what else has happened? Where, I don't want to go on and on about pollution because by now, if you cared about your life, you already know everything there is to know about pollution in this city. Every winter, Delhi's live music scene also peaks up with festivals and gigs. But this time, it's quieter and it's punctuated with coughing fits. Now, with the AQI often over 500, the season meant for performances has become a battle to breathe. Amid the peak concert season, there are Christmas markets, all of that, artists are dealing with throat issue and feeling compelled to now cancel shows. Renowned Sufi and Ghazal artist and music director there, Kavita Seth, cancelled her performance at an event in Delhi. She put out, I'll request the producers to put out that page as well. She put out an apology saying that she does not want to put herself through the suffocation and choking. She said she cited severe discomfort, suffocation and choking the moment she landed in Delhi. She also said that the pollution levels in Delhi are extremely concerning. One of the most popular, and she's not the only one, remember, because one of the most popular Indian bands, Euphoria, was also scheduled to perform in the national capital on the 6th of December. That's also cancelled. Palash Sen again put out a similar saying, post saying that he apologizes, he will postpone this because the AQI is just not permitting him to come out in the open and expose himself at least to this. However, the concert was postponed due to severe air pollution leading to rising levels of AQI over there. Now, Palash Sen, like I said, took to Instagram, official update expressing concern about the situation. Palash, who's a native of Delhi, remember, shared the news of the concert's postponement with a note saying that he is heartbroken. Now, as Delhi's air quality continued to remain in the severe category, meanwhile, while all of this is happening, what did the Singapore High Commission say? The Singapore High Commission in India issued an advisory for its nationals also residing in Delhi NCR. The notice said that the Delhi government has urged citizens, especially children and those with respiratory or cardiac ailments over there, ailments to stay indoors and to use mask if stepping out. The High Commission also urged Singapore nationals in Delhi to heed to that advice. And in middle of all of this, concerts getting cancelled, advisories coming from foreign governments for their nationals, etc. What is China saying? Now, China has drawn attention to what is called a shared struggle with India on its air pollution. Now, on this very show, if you'll remember, we spoke about the China model, how Beijing cleared its air, cleaned its air, and what are the lessons for India. Now, in the latest, China, while presenting itself as an example of how severe air quality problems can be reduced over time with sustained efforts, they have compared AQI levels of the both countries, like India and China, and claim that its sustained efforts over the past decades have delivered noticeable improvements, and there will be a real solution if both the countries actually work together. So China has come forward to offer a solution on how to clean India's air. The question is, Will India take that help? The question is, do we really have a solution for pollution? And the question really is, do we care enough about air pollution, which is, remember, not a Delhi problem, not a national capital problem, but one that impacts 60% of our country. On that note, let me bring in Dr. Sanjeev Bagai on the program and Vimlentu Jha. Thank you both for joining us. Dr. Bagai, I have to first start by asking you, we've seen in the past 2 cancellations, very visible ones, of artists who refused to come out and play. Perhaps not so much about what the people who will come there and feel exposed to AQI, but for their own lungs. This is Kavita Seth, hugely popular, especially with the Delhi crowd, and Palash Sen, who's also a native Delhi wala, by the way, both of them saying that the AQI is just not permitting them to put their own lives at risk. What happens when you sing, perform in like 500 plus AQI?
Right. So I think much has been said about the statistics. First of all, good evening. My apologies. Much has been said about the statistics and the mortality and the morbidity rates, the organs damaged, right from the brain, from dementia to heart attacks in the heart and hypertension to lung cancers, bronchial asthma, bronchitis, involvement of the liver, the gut, the spleen, the prostate, cancers of almost 18 different organs, almost increasing by 80 to 90% in the last 10, 15 years. Unborn fetuses, pregnancies been involved. So let's come to what happens in this AQI during exertion, physical activity, or singing or choir. What really happens in these kind of situations is that there is, as it is, a level of hypoxia. That means decreased oxygenation, and your demand is much more in your body during these physical activities. In presence of a extra load on your body, such as stress as singing, your lungs demand more amount of oxygen, which is not there. More amount of breaths being taken per minute during singing means more amount of pollutants and co-pollutants being inhaled and therefore being absorbed. This is more than toxic as it is, but if you're going to exert, run, play, or sprint, or have any kind of outdoor activity such as singing, it's putting more load on your cardiovascular system. In routine times, a 10 microgram increase in PM 2.5 gives you a 2-fold increase in cardiorespiratory metabolic mortality. This will give you a lot more. So there is a direct link, there is a direct risk. We need to be careful. I think now we got to move away from politics. There has to be a Delhi state medical advisory. This is a health emergency. There is no shame admitting that, okay, things have gone wrong. Let's not play politics with one party to another. Let's draw out an action plan. And I've written on this on Twitter, on social media, on various platforms. We need a 12-point action plan. Trust me, it is doable. The Delhi government has instituted 2 high-power committees and bodies, but my request really is, let there be a neutral scientific advisory board which advises the Delhi government and the Chief Minister's office directly. And Mr. Sirsa, who I know personally is a good man, strong man, this government can turn it around. The intent has to be clear. The first way to acknowledge that there is an issue is to identify and recognize where the fault lines are. Once that is done, we can find a solution. At the present moment, we have
but
not.
I don't know if, Dr. Bagai, I don't know if the problem of Delhi NCR can be solved, and Vimlen to come in on that one, by anybody in Delhi alone. We are looking at a northern basin which gets formed across the northern belt, right? We are looking at inversion taking place. We are looking at vehicular pollution, and that's why I keep saying 60% of India has bad air. We've got to sort of get comfortable with that number. We look at metros like Kolkata, where AQI is permanently between 200 to 300. Bombay, no difference over there. Several other North Indian, whether you pick up Kanpur or Lucknow, you pick up Meerut or Aligarh, all of these places have really bad AQI. So, Vimlentu Jha, what exactly is the way forward? Should we take China's advice, maybe take their help and understand what exactly did they do? Or is our situation very different?
You're absolutely right that, disproportionately we cannot be blaming Rekha Gupta or Mr. Sirsa of course, the voters of Delhi or otherwise will ask their immediate leader, and therefore they are the immediate leader. But as you rightly said, the issue is not just of Delhi. Your studio is in Noida. I'm sitting in Gurgaon. I think you should also start blaming your chief minister, and I should also start blaming my chief minister, which I do not know. These two chief ministers are completely missing in that sense. And that brings us to the main issue that if, forget about this, if 40 to
Fair point.
50% or majority of India's air is actually bad and terrible, therefore it's important that the Prime Minister or the Union Environment Minister should be here. That seems very important. So it's not a Vidhan Sabha issue anymore. It's not a state-specific issue anymore. It's a regional issue. It's a national issue, and therefore it needs that national focus. It needs that national budget. It needs that revision in National Clean Air Program. Your question with regard to China's assistance, why not? As China was yesterday's New Delhi, and if they were able to solve it, why shouldn't we learn from them? As if they're extending their assistance. And by the way, extending their assistance in terms of assisting their case study, what did they actually do? They were also very, very populous, a country, very, very aspirational country, very, very industrious in that sense. And of course, the pollution levels very, very similar to India. And what they actually did, first thing that Beijing did was allocated adequate resource for air pollution mitigation, which was actually 15,000 crores, almost 15,000 crores per year, which basically, if you look at India's budget for 6 years, is around 19,000 crores, and for 130 cities, so which comes to an average of 25. So what Beijing did, and Beijing case study should be a very, very important study and learning for us Indians and our policymakers, that you actually spend adequate resources, proportionate resources, first of all, in terms of budget. Then what they did was working on the public transport, not of that the city center or of the Lutyens Delhi or of the South Delhi or of North Delhi alone, but of the entire area which actually caters to this entire so-called national capital territory in that sense, and therefore national capital region. And that's why we need 10,000 buses. 10,000 buses, not just as monuments of public transport and mobility, but something that is used. And for that, you'll have to make it affordable. For that, you will have to make it last mile and safe, and so on and so forth. You don't want empty buses to be plying on the road in that sense. And alongside that, you will have to incentivize vehicular private vehicles, because your study, my study, everybody's study says that 40% to 50% of PM2.5 concentration in Delhi's air is because of private vehicles that are flying. And the more and more, there's almost 20% growth year on year in terms of more cars that's actually being bought in Delhi in that sense. So this incentivize private vehicles. Construction activities. I think, you know what, this in some ways, and I'm being a little this thing, but Grab should be banned. As in, I've not said this for so many years, because we all hide behind, the government hides behind Grab. Grab is just a band-aid. We think we've done enough by just shouting Grab 5 times, sometimes Grab 1, Grab 2, Grab 3, Grab 4, and all of it together, and that makes 5 times in that sense, and we think the pollution goes away. Pollution, that's not a solution. Grab is not a solution. The idea of Grab was an advisory, precautionary, stopgap reactive measure. But now what has happened is that everyone in the government and in the courts also, everyone depends only on Grab as a governance measure, and that is doing a large disservice. Of course, the implementation, whatever that
Mr.
little
Jha,
that is there.
you and I have spoken several times over years now on the same issue. We highlight the same matter, the same topics. अभी तक आपको भी रट गया है, मुझे भी रट गया है. Dr. Bagai to has this breathless moment. You know, there is Shankar Mahadevan who has a breathless moment. Dr. Bagai has a breathless way in which he speaks about the issues of pollution as well. But let's not get carried away. I understand that you're saying the government hides behind Grab. But the point is, this is also required. This year, we've had to fight for Grab implementation also.
I know.
I mean, at 1,000 AQI, we had kids going to school.
Absolutely, no doubt. I'm not saying Grab shouldn't happen, but imagine Grab is the only thing that happens then. You think that you've done your bit. The government thinks they have done their bit. The courts of our country think they've done their bit by just announcing Grab in that sense, and that too very little, very late. And Grab is not a solution. Grab actually looks after some of the symptoms rather than the source in that sense, and it is not long-term. It is only, as I told you, if you look at the documentation, the idea, the rationale behind Grab was supposed to be precautionary, so that, you know, when you're in stage 3 or when you're in 300, the situation should not become 400, and that's the reason why.
No, it's a short-term measure, yes. It's a short-term
So
fix.
from that point of view, I'm not getting carried away. Fine, at least.
We need a long-term solution. Yeah, I get that point. But Dr. Bagai, we are missing another important point here. I hear of singers saying, well, my throat will not function. I will not subject myself to this AQI and I cancel a concert. But what about events like the one we had with Messi being here? What about events like that when we've got sports icons, etc.? Of course, you know, those visuals and videos are now viral everywhere of the chief minister being booed. But shouldn't GRAP actually, should somebody have, you know, made better sense? And I'm asking, maybe not done it in Delhi in this air, not subjected people to coming out in the open?
So just few important points. India loses 7 lakh crores every year as a economic loss because of fighting the complications of air pollution. Isn't it wise just to spend half that money in preventing it and therefore preventing complications like death and mortality and morbidity? Point number two, being in clinical practice, a small child which came to my clinic just yesterday, I did a live show on the roads of Vasant Vihar where I stay, said that, Uncle, why don't you add a C in front of GRAP?
What's the C?
Just add a C and then pronounce it. He says nothing happens with GRAP. Okay, there's a pun intended. I will not spell it out. Going forward, I think it's important that all outdoor exposures be limited. Therefore, it is important as a public advisory. It is possible to control the traffic emissions, the traffic congestion. It's important to control the road dust. You can't have MCD workers brooming the roads every morning and reopening the dust which is already stagnant on the ground into open air and remaining suspended for hours. Therefore, it just gets redistributed. Construction norms are in thin smoke. As it is, there is smoke in the air. We have to look at possible solutions and strong implementation. I am again saying it cannot be done in silos. I've said this for very, very long that at least 4 or 5 or 6 major states alongside with Delhi have to put their heads together. Let there be a proper national advisory board. Let there be a national guideline. Give yourself a 5-year agenda plan, monitor it every quarter and declare the results every year. Do not wait for AQI to reach 400 and 500. Trust me, AQI of 200 to 300 is long term damaging. 400 to 500 is fatal. Few hours of exposure, let's say like in a stadium, can give you cardiorespiratory mortality. How many death certificates will read heart attack due to air pollution? None.
See,
But
the
the fact
situation
is, it
is
is there
such, no,
because
Dr. Bagai, that the situation is such that even doctors now know solutions. Doctors are also saying this is how you will fix an environment problem. But who's listening? Who's going to do this? We don't have a central ministry to look at air. We don't have ministers who are ready to recognize it. We don't have, a parliament is going on in full spell. Nobody's spoken about pollution. And then we are feeling very happy. Oh, they said they will discuss. When will they discuss? And what is the point of discussion? Just implement. You know how to manage. If you can manage COVID, you can manage air pollution.
absolutely.
If you know how you can enforce it across the country, you can get people to wear their masks, you can have advisories, enforce it, get people to understand the problem and the health issues. Why can't we do it for air pollution? And frankly, I'm tired and sick of just saying the same thing every day. But Vimlonduja, on the issue of dust, I want to clarify because Dr. Bagai raised it. And I think there is a confusion in people's mind. People think dust is very, very harmful. But what they don't see is PM 2.5. What they also don't understand is what is water sprinkling actually doing? What exactly is water sprinkling doing? Can you explain that to our viewers?
So basically, right now, if you look at that budget conversation that we were having, that very little money that's being spent, of course, majority of that is actually unspent in most of these cities that we're talking about. There's some media reports that talk about that only 1% to 30% of that budget that's been spent. And out of that 1 to 30% money that's actually been spent on air pollution mitigation in these 130 cities, majority of that is actually spent on sprinkling water on roadside in that sense. And that's what we've actually done. In the name of air pollution, if you look at every interview or every press conference of Mr. Sirsa or Miss Gupta, in that sense, they've talked about how their so-called road cleaning or road sweeping or this entire sprinkling regime has changed, as in there's selfies of ITO and all of that. I think what it does, and what Dr. Bagai was also talking about, that what it doesn't remove dust, it actually settles dust in that sense, and that too temporarily. How much water do you want a river to flow there so that that dust actually becomes sludge and goes somewhere? No, it doesn't. You only are creating mist situation there for temporarily actually settle it. And in many, many ways, you're only doing it at perhaps maybe say 10 to 15 meters from the ground level. It's not as if PM10 only remains there. PM10 remains in the entire air column that we actually have, the atmosphere, the breathing column that we have. So, right now, when you and were talking about the Ethiopian crisis, of course, the volcano eruption, we saw glass and dust and sulfur dioxide actually travel 4,000 kilometers. And here we are feeling very, very happy that just 10 meters by 10
So
meters we sprinkle
am
water.
I to say that water sprinkling is doing nothing?
No, temporarily it might be, but in the sense, partially for that second. And there are a lot of people with resources are putting these mist fans and things on their rooftop and then their balconies in that sense, so that they get a sense of that. But also there are studies, which Dr. Bagai will tell you, that mist in the sense of humidity plus PM10 and PM2.5 together can also have harmful impact in that sense. So it's not as if it gives you a sense that you're breathing. Some people told me that you apply some oil and something in your nose and it stops. Nothing can stop you, protect you from this. And no machine, no oil, no ghee can actually help you in this. The only thing will be that stop it from where it starts. And that's the only solution. Dust is not the main thing. PM2.5, Dr. Bagai will tell you, is 40 times smaller than human hair and more harmful. It really, that the PM10 perhaps gets stuck at your upper level versus PM2.5 getting into your blood and therefore getting into your entire immune system to everything else. Dr. Bagai will be better to answer that question.
Very quickly.
Very quickly. So water sprinkling, smoke guns, artificial rain is a big no-no. It's a passe. It's been scientifically proved to be a gross failure and waste of time, money, and energy. It's an eyewash. It's a band-aid solution for a gangrene lying elsewhere. The fact of the matter is that the water sprinklers are dealing with the larger particles and PM10, not PM5, not PM2.5. Second point, it increases the relative humidity in that given area. In fact, what it does is it galvanizes the PM2.5 to become more active. Point number two, what does the relative humidity do? It aggregates them and therefore the underestimation becomes even more. That means the real value is a lot more. Point number three, what it is giving is oxygen molecules to oxidize heavy metals. No one is talking of it, which then gets supercharged with what we call as cationic particulate matter of plastics. So it's a triple whammy. It does not work. There is research data on this. It cannot work.
It cannot work, and but we still go on to sprinkle because it looks like something is being done. No, it goes on to say, see, the government is spending. It might be hovering around the AQI meters more than people. It might be hovering only in Lutyens, Delhi and other places, but it looks like kuch to kar rahi hai sarkar. So let's do it when clearly we know that water sprinkling actually doesn't help at all. In fact, as Dr. Bagai said, does more damage than good. But like I said, we are still waiting for somebody to put their hand up and say, I'm going to clean up the air of this country. I'm going to provide a solution. We haven't seen that hand up so far. Dr. Bagai has his hand up, and we really hope that the government sort of listens to him and understands that.
So no, we will not relent. We will not give up.
I'm with you, sir. I'm with you.
Fight.
It's been a month and a half. I've done every day a show on pollution.
Yes, I know that.
Every day we've brought out different issue, we've spoken about issues, and that's what I can do, that's what you can do. The rest is like we said.
Absolutely,
the government has to listen. And for the moment, Vimlendu Jha and Dr. Sanjeev Bagai, thank you both for joining us. Let's cut across to some updates coming in. This is from West Bengal, where Bengal Sports Minister has quit over the Messi mess. Mamata Banerjee had basically said that you either take responsibility or quit altogether. And now we are getting news that the West Bengal Sports Minister has quit. Mamata Banerjee will be the interim sports minister for now. She had also pulled up the DGP over the entire mess. Pictures are on your screen. The background here is that Lionel Messi was in India. In fact, he started his tour with Bengal. And after that, these are the visuals that came out. There was an absolute vandalism that took place of the stadium, an absolute shame that the country witnessed of how we dealt with an international sporting icon. And over that, now we hear that the West Bengal sports minister has quit his job. His face there on your screen. Let me cut across to my colleague bringing us more detail. Tapas is with us. Tapas, tell us more.
Well, see, it was just, there were a lot of contemplation since this morning that there could be some big developments coming in. And finally, when the DGP of West Bengal was served the show cause notice by the government and especially the inquiry committee that was formed by the state government earlier to probe into the matter as to what went wrong during Messi's event on 13th of December. And everything went on very fast. And as of now, as we had seen that the show cause notice coming in, and within half an hour, in less than half an hour's time, the sports minister had resigned from his post. There was pressure mounting on the sports minister. What we have been given to understand that Mehrotra Banerjee herself was very angry, the kind of situation that unfolded, and following which there were a lot of conversation went on between the sports minister and the chief minister in the last few days. And the chief minister was not happy the way the incident was handled, and that even at in the presence of the sports minister. Mehrotra Banerjee was supposed to visit the venue on 13th of December, but she had to return back from midway.
Visuals on your screen looks like, yes, that is in fact the Delhi airport, where we are made to understand that the Goa club owners, the Luthra brothers, have just been brought in. You see those live visuals of the absolute chaos that is taking place at the Delhi airport as the Luthra brothers have been brought back.
के बीच आप ये देखिए कोर्ट में पेश करने के लिए पेश करना है और कोर्ट में पेश करने के लिए पुलिस की टीम यहां पर लेकर निकली है.
All right, we were trying to get an update from our reporter over there who's obviously tracking every detail of that landing. Now, what's been the background to this story? 23 people lost their life, charred to death, some choked to death at a club in Goa because it did not follow the fire safety norms. Because of combustion and the rest of it, they go on to have several other properties which also failed the test and were brought to the ground. The Luthra brothers, however, while lives were lost here, had fled the country. They were then found in Thailand, and now, after several days of weeks of effort, now have been brought back to the country. I'm told we have... All right, Shreya, my colleague, is joining us for more details on that. Shreya, what happens next now that they are in Delhi?
Well, you know, from now we will see, Sonal, them being taken to the Delhi's Patiala House Court, where the transit remand will be sought, and subsequently, once that is acquired, the Goa police team will then be flying back to Goa, where the investigation proceeds from now. So the procedural part, after them being deported by the Thailand authorities, that has happened. Immigration, there was an arrest that's taken place. Now we will see them being taken to the Patiala House Court. A medical will be also taking place in between, and then subsequently what we will see is the entire case will be heard at the Patiala House Court for the transit remand, and the Goa police will then be taking them from there.
Shreya, we also got some very fascinating details of what exactly they were doing in Thailand. Apparently, they went out to eat, got caught on some CCTV camera, and that's how the police actually managed to know that they were there. It all happened on an Indigo flight. Could you take us through what were those details? How were they actually spotted in Thailand?
Well, absolutely, Sonal. You know, it's on the intervening night of 6th and 7th, after the incident took place in Goa, that they actually took that flight to Bangkok. What we do know that in the subsequent process, when they were being traced by Indian authorities, they were located at a hotel in Patong in Phuket. That is after which we see their passports being revoked, and subsequently they were detained by the Thai authorities. Then they were flown back to Bangkok, we are being told, and from there the entire process of sending them back to the country with Indian agency officials officially flying down took place. And once that happened, It is in the IGI airport immigration point where the entire official arrest took place, and now subsequently we saw those visuals of them being brought outside from the immigration point at the IGI airport, now to the Patiala House Court, where the entire picture shifts, and there we will see the transit remand being sought by the Goa police, and from there they'll be taken back to Goa again.
Right, Shreya there at the airport bringing us up to speed with what has happened in this case so far. Tragic, tragic incident where over 20 lives were lost at that Goa club. The brothers there, instead of helping out, taking responsibility, actually fled the country and was spotted then in Thailand. Ashutosh Mishra has also been tracking this story very closely and joins us now. Ashutosh, what happens next in investigation and how watertight is the case that the police have against the Luthra brothers?
Well, what we are hearing from the sources that the Goa police is likely to add additional charges against these Luthra brothers. As far as negligence of the entire tragedy is concerned, the incident is concerned, clearly substantial. We have seen such cases in the past where negligence, where the owners, remember the Tandoor Khan, remember the Upahar cinema cases, so where the owners have eventually been booked. But until you have a watertight case, in that case, they are responsible for violating certain laws, their violation for environmental laws. But at the same time, who gave those permissions? It is the civic body, it is the local panchayat, it is the officials, that they were not very keen to check on the safety measures of all these clubs which are functional in Goa. In Goa, in such tourism places, we know almost 99 such places are eventually working by violating certain laws. So which case they are going to book? Because all it looks like for now, that they really played a very bad optics when they were needed for the questioning. Had they been appeared before the police, gone at themselves voluntarily, surrendered themselves, they look, we are presenting ourselves for the investigation. It is eventually they booked a flight midnight or escaped from the courts of law, from the investigation, and that gave really a bad optics. And that's why it makes a watertight case that police will argue before the court that look, now they are the flight risk, since they were already absconded, we had to get them through extradited, and all the process was really long. That really make their bail literally impossible, at least for a very long time. But when it comes to merit of the case, what all charges Goa police gonna add for?
All right, so our colleagues are bringing us up to speed with all of that. Luthra brothers are now in the country, in custody. The battle now shifts to the courts now, and courts will get to decide how quickly we are able to fix responsibility in this one. As we've seen in several other cases, remember Upahar being a classic example, it went on for years. What happens in this one, we'll be keeping a very close eye. Chants, chaos and colours, that is how we can sum up Messi's India tour. Now, while the Argentinian football star Lionel Messi fans with posters waited for his arrival at the Salt Lake Stadium in Kolkata on the 13th of December, November 2025, chaos prevailed in just a few minutes. Angry fans vandalized banners, threw bottles, ripped up seats and threw them on the pitch after Messi's early departure from the Salt Lake Stadium. Bengal sports minister now has resigned today. Orders of investigation have been put in. But that was not the only mess. Right? Hyderabad crowd was on cloud 9 when he reached there. Football superstar there attended the Goat Cup exhibition match, an event that was part of the 3-day tour. And alongside him were several other players as well. They all came to Maharashtra, but even there we saw some booing. Security was heightened especially after the Kolkata event. When things moved to the Wankhede Stadium in Mumbai, interaction with fans, celebrity, etc. There were unforgettable memories, but also, like I said, some booing. But all of that again took a turn when he arrived in Delhi. As Delhi was battling over 500 AQI, hazardous air quality levels, a section of crowd at Arun Jaitley Stadium actually did not forget that. They booed the Chief Minister Rekha Gupta and chanted AQI, AQI. She took the stage to welcome the Argentine football icon. Overall, it was a big, messy mess. The question that comes to mind really is, did football benefit from this? If you are an aspiring footballer, did Messi coming to India leave you with hope, more love for the game? If not, then what did we really achieve with this event? To talk to us more about this, I couldn't think of a better name. Nikhil Naz is here with us. He knows everything there is to know about sports here and has been doing it for years. Nikhil, thanks so much for your time. Harish Bijur is also here with us. He's a brand guru, and I want to understand what exactly do these exercises really achieve? And do fans really, or aspiring footballers really get the best of it? Nikhil, what were your thoughts? If you had to rate Messi's tour in India 1 to 10, how much would you rate it as?
Well, I wouldn't be able to rate it any more than a 0. And that's not to say that I'm not a Messi fan. I'm a huge Messi fan. I've covered him live on multiple occasions. But I couldn't get myself to join in the festivities as it was being marketed while his time was here in India. And there are multiple reasons behind that. And I know you're going to dwell into a lot about it when it comes to the VIP culture that was on display. And I firmly believe that fan anger that you see, it wasn't just restricted to Kolkata, but you saw that in Mumbai as well as in Delhi, was primarily because you had a situation where it turned into a private event for, the VIPs. And the rest of the fans just got a glimpse of Lionel Messi, not even playing football, but just a glimpse of Lionel Messi. But I'll get back to the point as to why I say that I couldn't get myself to participate in this event, either as a fan or as a sports journalist, is primarily because where we find Indian football at the moment. I'll give you a few numbers, and that's going to shock a lot of our viewers who are not following Indian football. This, for the very first time in the last 3 decades, that we do not have a national league. So every country has a national level league, the top level football league. This year, for the very first time in more than 3 decades, it has been suspended. Do you know why it's been suspended? Because there are no takers for that. The All India Football Federation put a tender out, and all they're asking is a guarantee of 35 crore from any entity, whether it's a corporate, it's a state government, anyone, to just chip in with 35 crore, take that guarantee and have the National League organized. There's not been a single taker for that. Nobody wants to shell out 35 crore. And what has that done? There are 300 professional footballers that have been rendered jobless in this country while Lionel Messi is here. It's not Messi's fault. It's not Messi's job to fix Indian football. My point is, you spent close to 120 crores on this Lionel Messi visit. I know it's a private venture, but the private venture has been taken care of. Why? Because you've had sponsors, you've had state governments, you've had people shelling out 10 lakh rupees for a selfie. With all that money coming in for the tickets that you've sold, you've covered 120 crore. In 120 crore, you can have 3 seasons of the National League. But unfortunately, that is not happening. Just to let you know where Indian football is at the moment, we're ranked 142 in the world. It is your worst ranking in the last 1 decade. Forget playing the FIFA World Cup. The Indian team has not qualified for the Continental Championship. That's the Asian level championship. The top 24 countries in Asia, Asia is considered the weakest continent when it comes to football. India can't make it to the top 24 in Asia. Forget about the world level. And this is where our national football is. But we have 122 crores to get it sponsored and have it covered. That irony and that contrast couldn't escape me.
So 0 from Nikhil on what exactly is happening. So Harish Bijur, as a branding exercise, how much would you give it?
Well, I'll give it very little, because I think precious little was achieved out of this entire 3-day tour. In fact, if anything, it created a lot more controversies. And lost lives is not a great thing to have on hand. And I think we saw it in Kolkata. If you're talking 23 people, that's a large number. We've seen that. We have sporting history in this country which says that sport, passion, and passionate viewers are very difficult to manage. But I don't think we've learned the lesson at all. What happened in Bengaluru with RCB repeated itself to an extent in Kolkata. And fortunately, the other centers were much more peaceful. But what it achieved, at least, I would be very, very happy to say that if at all this Messi tour has achieved one thing, it's achieved a center stage presence for an issue called AQI. And I think what happened out there is going to actually convey a message to the political class in this country, which manages our lives, to say that, hey, guys, we make non-issues into issues. We're very, very famous for doing that. And I won't quote non-issues.
I would love to hear what Harish Bijur has to say on this. I think it's an excellent point. Thank you, Messi, for highlighting AQI. I think that's the headline that we can all take away from this, apart from everything else that Nikhil has highlighted about the sport that we should be caring about as well. I'm so sad that that's all the time we have on the program, because this was just getting started and just getting really exciting. Thank you both, Nikhil and Harish Bijur, for joining us.